Yep. Sounds good.
Welcome to Office Hours Live, everyone.
Oh,
the
you got
weekly
that sick
show
new
where
intro.
we teach people how to plan, launch, and grow a business that provides you with freedom, independence, and purpose. Whether you're starting
we got
from
21
zero
people watching
or
already.
scaling to 6
Damn.
figures and beyond, whether you sell products or services online or offline, this show is all about growing a profitable business based on what we call service at scale. We combine the traditional service-based model with the tools and technology at our fingertips today. I'm going to answer your most pressing questions about clients, entrepreneurship, lifestyle, and anything else that's stopping you from taking your business to that next level. I want to extend a special welcome to my students at freelancingfreedom.com who are tuning in today. And with that said, I'm your host, Brad Hussey, a marketing expert, business consultant, and educator with more than 400,000 international students. I help aspiring entrepreneurs like you take back their freedom and independence by teaching them and giving them the tools for launching a profitable consulting business at freelancingfreedom.com. If you want your questions answered, just add them to the comments section and we'll get to them throughout the show. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you're on YouTube, hit the little notification bell to stay in the loop for new content and when we go live with our office hours. We've got some great material lined up for you today, so make sure you take some notes, you bring your questions, grab yourself a water, coffee, or a whiskey, and we're going to get started here in just a moment. All right, folks, let me know if you could see and hear me. We're doing a different Office Hours Live today, as you probably already know. So I just want to make sure that there isn't any tech issues. I know now that I'm incorporating another person and some new tech, I just want to make sure that there's no like crazy stuff happening. And if anything comes up at all, like if there's any echoes or weird delays or something like that, just let us know and we'll try our best to on the fly fix the issue. So yeah, with that said, what we're going to be doing today is quite different from our usual Office Hours Live, where every Thursday we answer questions and we talk about a specific topic, usually cherry picked from the launch course. In this case, what we're going to do is do an actual coaching session. So Bao reached out and wanted to book a coaching session and agreed to do it live. And so none of this is scripted. I vetted some questions from him beforehand, but really it's just kind of, you get to watch a coaching session. So hopefully it's good and valuable. We'll give him a little intro and stuff so that you have context for who Bao is. Probably most of you know who Bao is because most of you here are students of launch. And yeah, so here I'm gonna loop Bao in here and then we'll kind of get started. So let's try this. So I think I got Bao on the screen, and I think he is unmuted. So maybe Bao, say hello.
Hello.
And anyone here, if you let us know if you can hear him. With that said, I'm assuming everything's good, and we'll just get started. So I'll give Bao a little intro here. Bao is a student of Freelancing Freedom, a longtime student. I think you've been a student since the original Freelancing Freedom course, right?
Yep.
Sweet. That's awesome.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. We've seen you go through quite a bit. From when you started out at Freelancing Freedom to kind of where you are now. So it's kind of neat to have you on the Office Hours Live right now to maybe give like an up-to-date where Bao is at now in business. And so maybe I'll give you a moment there just to give us a little intro to who you are, when you started, where you were at with Freelancing Freedom, and then now where you're at in your business and why we're on the call.
Totally. So I think I first bought into Freelancing Freedom, I think 2017. Feel like it was probably around 2017. And I had an interest in freelancing with regards to web development. And it was great trying to get clients, working on getting clients, doing well. What I quickly realized that, and it was a module within Freelancing Freedom that also helped me realize this, But it's those valleys and hills where, with web development projects, there's just no solid recurring revenue. And so your income comes in ebbs and waves. And I wanted something more, so I decided to include services like SEO and review management and social media management, and I just started building up this a kind of this arsenal of services that would complement each other with regards to a wholesome marketing strategy that would include websites, because websites are great for like 24-hour business cards, and to be able to display services, display information. But when it comes to what the client's goals are with the website, usually those aren't aligned. And usually you need more than just a website in order to attract new clients, attract new business, which was what they felt that the website would be for. And so I decided to kind of become that marketing consultant, to become that problem solver, the solution provider, that kind of thing. Eventually, it got to the point where there was just so much involved with trying to juggle four, five, six different services. I decided to specialize in one. And at first, I wanted to specialize in all of them, in the sense that, we give an end-to-end marketing strategy, but trying to find somebody to help me with social media content, and then trying to find somebody to help me with SEO, and then trying to find and outsource somebody who would do web development for me was a whole lot of work, as opposed to just finding one person doing one system and duplicating and replicating that over and over and over and over again. That made more sense, which is why I got into eventually converting my freelancing business into an agency that focused on online advertising, mostly for local business owners. And from there, I further specialized into real estate. And so that's kind of where I'm at now. I do a lot of lead generation and qualification for real estate agents through Facebook ads, and a team of callers to help qualify leads. And so, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Potentially almost 2 years later. Almost 2 years later.
Nice. That's cool. I'm just taking notes. In true coaching call style. That's sweet. So yeah, anyone here in the chat, I got the chat open. At any point, if you want to ask questions or kind of comment on something or share something, feel free to. This call is going to be about Bow, so I will less be focusing on that. And I'll let Alea take care of the chat and answer any questions there that maybe she can take care of, so that I can exclusively focus on Bow and Bow's questions. But we just wanted to give some background on Bow to see, like, he went through this starting out freelancing and kind of getting his feet wet, figuring out what he's supposed to do, web design, web dev, finding and stringing together different virtual assistants to try and offer an end-to-end marketing offering, SEO, social design, dev, everything under that umbrella. But then finding good people and then maintaining that and creating a consistency in that can be difficult if you don't have something that's more concrete versus stringing together just random freelancers and consultants. So then you said you switched into the ad agency model, where you're able to focus on specifically real estate and generating leads. So generating leads for real estate agents. Facebook ads is kind of like your forte, and then you have a team of sales callers, so people who actually do lead qualification and do the sales calls for you.
Yep.
Sweet. That's awesome.
Yep,
And
yep.
that's really cool. I like that because a lot of us and people who are attending right now, we have a lot of people watching right now, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. More than our usual public office hours live. So that's cool. Sweet. People really wanted to watch this, so we better make it fresh. It's neat to see, because a lot of people go, well, I'm not comfortable with sales. I'm not good at sales. But like, well, there are people who are good at sales. There are people who love sales. There are people who love talking on the phone and doing sales. And just as we could hire like a designer to help design, if we're not a designer, but we can, we have something, we need someone to design our site or our logos or our brands, you just hire a designer. You don't have to do it yourself. Why do you think you need to do sales yourself? Get someone who's good at sales, contract them out, hire them on your team, and have them do the sales calls. That's really cool. So how is that kind of working? This current model, the ad agency model under with the real estate niche, generating leads and having the sales team. How is that kind of working for you right now? Are you happy with it, or what's that look like?
Oh yeah, totally. I'm really happy with it. It's it allows me to stay lean as an agency, which keeps my overhead low, which is fantastic because I was at one point just burning cash on a team that literally I could only provide maybe 1, 2 hours of work a day, and that just wasn't sustainable. And so at the start of the year, I really had to take a look at my finances for my business and really just reflect on, is what I'm doing actually working? Is it worth the money that I'm spending, or should I make some changes? And that was when I fine tuned the system and eventually got into really only just at this point, two team members that are working directly under me. The other team of sales callers is by extension a partnership, and it just helps it by having one person do the management of that call team. So kind of like a manager that handles that.
Okay.
And I only am able to provide that as a service by working with that manager directly. It helps save a lot of headache with managing 50 different callers.
Yeah.
And so right now I have a guy who is handling my ads, and just a virtual assistant who is helping me with lead generation, setting my appointments, taking care of my messages, those kind of things. And it's really great. And literally, my role in the business is to come up with systems, processes, standard operating procedures, automate as much as I can, oversee the business in a way where I can look at scaling and growth. And when I'm looking at marketing campaigns and ad campaigns, I look at it from a very high level. And when it boils down to like the nitty gritty of, handling the details within the ad manager, I just let the ad guy know that, hey, we need to tighten up the radius on this. We need to change this copy. We need to make sure that the price is evident on this copy. We need to change up the creative, those kind of things. So I just let him know that, and he gets it done. So it's like not a lot of fiddling with the ads manager anymore for me. At least in most cases, I do make exceptions for some clients, but for the most part, it's my ads guy, and I just let him know what I need, and he executes on it, which is great because it saves me a lot of time. I went from managing like 5, 6, maybe 7 clients all at the same time on my own with the ads manager, and really filling up 8 hours, 9 hours worth of work a day. And I work full time,
Yeah.
right? So I work full time and I do this. So like managing 6, 7, 8 hours a day of client work on ads manager
Yeah.
was really burning me out. So it was such a godsend when I decided to hire on this ads guy
Yeah.
to be able to manage this.
Yeah.
And it makes it easier for him when you focus on one thing, because then everything becomes a lot more predictable. And predictability with business is good because then you can expect a certain source of income. You can expect a certain source of amount of leads that come in, and conversion rates are a little bit more predictable, right? So when you systemize all of this, it makes it a lot easier for you to kind of get in that zone of automation, systemization. It's really great. And real estate is really easy because now with the number of different copies that I have, it's very, very limited. I run literally 2 types of campaigns max, and I just let that run. And usually those campaigns can run anywhere from 6 to 9 months without being changed, and it's good. You just got to tweak the targeting. You got to tweak the maybe copy every now and then, but the copy doesn't need to be changed much. Creative needs to be changed a little bit more often, right? But because those can fatigue pretty easily.
Yeah.
But otherwise, set that in. It's kind of like a money generating machine. It's completely automatic.
Nice. Okay. So that's awesome. So then, what I understand here, so with your basically the service that you're providing is for real estate agents, you're running their ad campaigns so that they can get their leads. It's
Yes.
essentially how it works. And then for your sales call team, who is it that is it your sales call team they're the ones selling and onboarding your like real estate customers, or are they working for the real estate um, agents?
They're working for the real estate agents.
Okay.
So the way that program works and the way my system and business program works is we generate the leads. We generate 100 leads for real estate agents per month.
Okay.
And those callers, they call every single lead and qualifies those leads for those agents,
Okay.
so that the agents don't have to do the follow-up call themselves. Because the premise behind the conversion calling, especially for real estate, is if you don't call within the first 5 to 10 minutes,
Yeah.
the conversion rate or the contact rate significantly drops. And if you don't make a certain number of calls, there's just the chance of contact rate also drops
Yeah.
or just never goes up, right? So by having somebody else take care of the calling,
Mm-hmm.
it removes the need for a real estate agent to need to make 1,500 touch points
Right.
within the month, because their job shouldn't be to sit by their desk, make these phone calls every single day. They're out there talking to clients, getting contracts signed, showing homes, that kind of thing. That's what they should be focusing on.
Yeah.
So that's what we wanted to provide as a service, and we leveled up that service as well to do the calling as well, so that they can get their leads qualified. So basically, the only people that the agent ends up talking to are people who have booked an appointment to talk to an agent.
Okay.
And usually that we come in at like 10-15% conversion rate for that. So every 100 leads, usually we get 10 to 15 booked appointments within the first month. And there's compounding conversion rates after that, because we're still calling the same leads, month, 2 months, 3 months, 12 months later.
Right. Right. Okay. Okay, I wrote that down. Could you hold for 1 second? Just grabbing my battery behind me for
Yep.
my better camera.
Hi, Leia.
All right. Should show up here in a sec. All right. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't matter. All right. So out of those 100 leads per month, you guys are getting like 10 to 15 qualified appointments every month, and your sales team basically manages all that and gets all that happening. And
Yep.
then those calls go into the hands of the agents, and then they're happy because you're the one getting, whoa, triple Brad. Yeah. Looks like I'm frozen. Sorry about the tech issues.
Oh, no worries.
Let's just
New
go.
setup.
Yeah, totally. You got to try and figure it out. We'll just go like this for now. Okay. So now that we got background, let's get into what it is you're trying to overcome. Like, where are you at that you kind of, obviously that brought you to the call. That you were like, okay,
Okay.
I'm having some
Sounds
issues
good.
here. I want to be able to talk this through, figure this out, get better at this, solve this problem. What's that look like? And
All
what
right.
is it?
So, um, a while back when I first decided to specialize in Facebook ads, and focus on just that particular area of the niche, I hadn't actually decided on a specific industry, right? It was just Facebook ads for local business owners. So when I was first learning, you were one of the people that I reached out to see if you needed ads. I also talked to one of my friends over in North Carolina, who I found out that she runs a permanent makeup business, which is really cool. So, I mean, like they do semi-permanent eyebrows, microblading, powder ombre brows, etc. Just some technical jargon there for the business.
Yeah.
But when I was first learning, it was more along the lines of, hey, let me run your ads. You just pay for ad spend, um, and let's get this to work. And it turns out we completely knocked it out of the park with her campaign. She got over 10 grand in terms of revenue from just the ad campaign, and all she paid was ads. So it turns out to be like over 90, 100x return on ad spend, which was absolutely crazy. I think we kind of got lucky with that, but there was also some testing there and some technical stuff that I learned and applied, and it just worked out really, really well.
Yeah.
So she started referring me to other people, and I got some additional clients from there. And then one of my clients that stemmed from that referral, we struggled on her campaign at first, and then we knocked it out of the park like a month later. So it was so far 2, 3 months in. First month we were struggling, and she was seeing it. She was frustrated with the results. I was like, "We're working on it. I promise. This is what we're doing. This is what we're planning to do." Just trying to keep communication lines open.
Yeah.
Second month, we absolutely killed it. Started automating the process of getting clients onto her calendar. She's happy. We're happy. She drops an amazing recommendation for us on one of the Facebook groups where everybody like her, is there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was so, so powerful because all of a sudden I signed 7, 8 additional clients from that just referral, that recommendation. And I
Yeah.
can't tell you how glowing that recommendation was. She basically positioned herself in the way that, or she positioned myself, sorry,
Yeah.
in a way where I basically saved her business. She was 2 months out from shutting down shop.
Yeah.
And so I've gotten a ton of business there. So the issue is that when you compare what permanent makeup artists are willing to pay versus
Mm-hmm.
what real estate agents are willing to pay, there's a huge discrepancy
Yeah.
in the revenue there, right?
I can
So
imagine that.
um, so because of that, I feel like trying to focus on this niche while trying to build this niche, it just doesn't make sense,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Because I basically just stumbled into the permanent makeup space. It wasn't intentional.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where I didn't have as much real estate clients at the time, and all of a sudden I was getting an influx of a bunch of permanent makeup artists. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
follow where the money is, right?
Yeah.
So I went with that, and the downside of that campaign was obviously the permanent makeup artists aren't willing to pay as much as real estate agents, but also because their campaigns require a lot more work,
Yeah.
right? Because now there's a lot more of my involvement. I'm doing a lot more testing. I'm a lot more applying more strategies,
Mm-hmm.
getting systems in place. Whereas in real estate, my systems were already in place at this point, right? So
Yeah.
um, that made it a little bit more difficult. And at this point, I feel like I've gotten a pretty solid system in place, but it's not a system where I want to continue to maintain and keep going because it still requires more work than a real estate agent's,
Yeah.
because it's a service-based business with regards to shorter transaction cycles.
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot more things like installing Facebook pixels onto their scheduling page, organizing their scheduling page, looking at their scheduling page and saying, hey, this thing is way too long to serve as an additional landing page. You got to cut up this,
Mm-hmm.
cut up that, migrate all these terms of services and booking policies onto the other page or your business page and stuff. Um, and so I was like, all right, well, that's not what I want to be doing.
Yeah.
And so I have the systems in place. I have the solid testimonials. I have video testimonials in place. I just didn't want to drop the niche and like not continue it when I have these results.
Yeah.
It just didn't make sense to. So what I wanted to do was take the systems that I'm learning and I have developed and spent thousands and thousands of dollars
Yeah.
into developing and testing with my clients and convert it into a course and sell that.
Okay.
So that it's, one-time front-loaded effort, and the rest of it is automated, and so I wanted, and that's the reason of this call. Obviously, you've had a lot of experience developing courses and selling courses and being wildly successful at it. I wanted to talk to you about what goes into taking what you're doing and converting it into a course,
Yeah.
what a good strategy is for it. I know that a lot of the times you definitely want to beta test those courses,
Yeah.
those kind of courses, get like a beta test group and then just work on a module at a time and release it as you go, as opposed to like putting in the front loaded effort and doing everything at once.
Yeah.
Releasing that and all of a sudden it bombs and you just spent a crap ton of time and it tanks and you get no revenue, you wasted a bunch of time, wasted a lot of money. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about, like what's a good strategy moving forward from taking my campaigns, my stuff, and then kind of like converting that over to a course
Yeah.
and being able to automate that. And I think eventually, maybe on a subsequent call, we can definitely talk about strategies for landing pages and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Webinars would be a good idea, things like that.
Yeah.
But right now, I just kind of like want to focus on the course part.
Yeah. Okay. So so that I'm totally clear to summarize that part. Permanent makeup, um, the permanent makeup industry. And you had some amazing testimonials. One where she said, Bao and his team saved my business. That got you a bunch of referrals and word of mouth. And so that got your attention. It's working clearly because it's an unsaturated niche, whereas like real estate is like everybody, there's a ton of real estate agents, and even in small towns like where I am, like real estate is super cutthroat, and you wonder how anyone succeeds at it except for like the one or two, guys or girls. And it's like, so that's hard. And so, but yes, they're willing to pay because they're like, I know there's a lot of money in this. If I sell $1 million home, especially in your area where there's real estate prices are super high. So for those of you who don't know, Bal's in kind of like middle California, like in the San Francisco
Sunnyvale, Bay
area.
Area,
Yeah.
Silicon Valley. You're
Yeah.
you're you're dealing with like premier real estate prices for
Yeah.
a shack. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. So like ultra high, ultra valuable real estate. So people are like, that's where money is. I'm chasing the money. So I'll pay whatever it takes. So obviously they're going to pay a lot. And so that's a lucrative niche for you as a service provider. You can command high rates because if you can get results, if you can make somebody $100,000 in a year, well, you could charge them, easily that amount, because if you can keep doing that year over year, then they're going to be able to make that back as profit. Whereas in like permanent makeup, you have these people who are like, okay, it's a very micro niche, it's very unsaturated. There's like not, it's very specific, but you can like with your ads and with your strategies, you can get them results in a really big way. Like you said, like they paid hundreds of dollars in ad spend to get like $10,000 in revenue from their business. Was that going to get that right?
that was one of my clients
One of the clients, yeah.
that we just knocked out of the park with. That's not the average.
Yeah.
That's just one of the highlights.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And like you don't really see that. You don't see that you wouldn't see that with a real estate agent.
yeah,
You spend a lot to make that, and then, like 10, 20, 30% on top of that. You're not getting like 900%, returns on your,
oh yeah,
you know. So, but the problem for you, though you're getting them awesome results, like they're winning and they're happy. The problem for you is like they're not willing. Not only are they not willing to spend a lot of money, but they can't because it will eat into their campaign.
yeah.
And so for those of you who are watching and aren't really familiar with advertising and using paid advertising and then hiring an advertising manager, if I spend $10, let's say if I spend $1,000 on an ad, and then that ad, returns me like $2,000 in product sales, like $2,000 in online course purchases, that means I made $1,000 profit. Now, if I did that myself, then that $1,000 profit goes straight into my pocket. But if I hired a professional ad manager, let's say Bao's agency, and he's like, it's going to be $2,000 in the month for me to run this campaign with your $1,000 budget. Now I'm actually $1,000 in the hole, and it's a terrible idea. And so, but Bao can't make a living on like, just giving you all your time for like $100 or $200. It's not feasible. So in this situation, Bao's problem is obviously, okay, cut and run, stop doing this niche because I can't make any profit from it, but it's a considerable amount of effort. Or is there an opportunity in this for me to deliver some remarkable results for people and automate sales in a way that I can give them what they need in a fashion that doesn't require me to be there? So if someone's going to give you $100 or $500 and you can give them, that's those sort of results within a more do-it-yourself fashion with you coaching them along in a course, then like you're working with your real estate agents, you're growing your business and you're working full time. And then you're looking at your phone in your weekly roundup and then seeing, oh sweet, I made like 8 sales last week. There's, $800 in my pocket, or, $5,000 in my pocket. And that's magical. That's wonderful. And that's exactly where you want to be. Which brings you to, okay, what's the right step? What do I create a course on this? What's the course? How does this look? How do I know if it's going to work? So I think that's an amazing position to be in, because obviously you're not just like coming up with something off the top of your head. You obviously didn't come up with, I wonder if permanent makeup is a great niche to go into. You just like happened upon it, and you saw that there's something here. And your inclination, your intuition to think, is there a way I can productize this, systemize it, and kind of have that run for me? That was like it's the right intuition. That's the right thought. So then knowing if it's going to work is how are you going to deliver the value that, so what you've done one-on-one, you've already validated it. So what I always say is validate your product or service. And this is in the launch course as well. Whether it's a product or service, validate it with one person, and then validate it with 2, validate it with 3. Sounds like you've already done that. And so when people are like, how do I create an online course? Like, do I just create an awesome online course and just hope for the best? Absolutely not. That's a good way to run out of money and screw yourself over. You provide a service, something that's not scalable. And so you really did that. It's not scalable. Mm-hmm. It's not actually that profitable for you, but it's fruitful in that it provides a lot of value for your client. So then how do you take that and create a profitable business model out of that for you? So now that you've validated it and you show like, okay, this niche is something I can kind of play in, I can serve this niche, and I've done it before, how are you going to now take your one-to-one service that you've already done? How can you distill that and condense it into something that can be packaged, that can be completely productized? And by that, I mean, you probably already know, but putting your instruction, your information, your guidance, your resources, everything that you know about it, package it into something that they can follow step by step to get the same or close to the results that you would if you were there one-to-one. Now, what you've done before with them is a done-for-you service, as you'd already know, but for anyone who's not really sure, we're using more technical jargon. That's a done-for-you service where I will do it for you. You pay me to do it for you. So that's done for you. There's done with you, and then there's do it yourself. So done for you is completely customized. Done with you is where you and I, Bao, have done this before with my ads and other things where you're like, Brad, we need to put these things in place. Here's what I need you to do. And I will write the copy, or I'll create the image, or I'll provide you with what you need. You don't need to do half of the work. And then there's do it yourself, where you teach somebody to do all of it themselves. And that's where you want to be with this, because it's not a good use of your time to provide any of your one-to-one time in that category unless somebody pays for it above and beyond your product. So your job now is to think, how do I distill my done for you and done with you into something that they could do themselves? So do you have any thoughts or maybe ideas of how you might begin doing that, of how you could say, is this something that you could go, yeah, I think, don't think of it as like an online course. Think of it like if somebody was like, hey, Bao, I heard of you from this amazing referral on a Facebook group. I want that as well, but I can't pay for it, but I want that. How do I get that? Is there something I could do just to figure it out? How do you then take that and put it into like a step-by-step instruction. Like if it was like one really long email or sorry, if a kid banging on the door. So just hold up.
Yep, yep.
Well, that's good, buddy. Thanks. You know, you go upstairs, okay?
So cute.
High five. Love you. All right, sweet.
Kid's adorable.
Dude, I was like, is that a kid? Because it was like a sophisticated knock. It was do 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 do. I was like, but it was a little obnoxious to be an adult. So it was illy. He's cute. Okay. So take the course context out. Take out, okay, how do I structure modules? How do I structure lessons? How long should the lessons be? We'll get there. Like if you were just to like, if someone wrote on Facebook, I need to get my ads dialed in. I'm in the permanent makeup industry. I don't know what to do. I don't have the budget to pay for someone to manage it for me. I'm willing to do the hard work because I want those results. Please help. What do I do? Is that something that you could say, yeah, I think that's something I can put that together and show them exactly how to do it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. That's
Definitely.
a good step. Good. So shoot any questions at me now that we've kind of got that. Like it's a valid idea. I think this is something you could do. And you've already delivered it in a one-to-one done for you service. Shoot any questions at me regarding whether it's technical, strategic, marketing, any of that regarding the course idea or any of that.
Cool. So in terms of coming up with content, how far ahead should I develop content before I start releasing a beta version of the course? And how, I guess a follow-up question, or maybe actually a preceding question to this is, where and how should I go about getting course students or students for the beta course?
Right. Okay.
And structure the offer that way.
Okay. So the first thing that you'll want to do is get sales for your product idea way before you even created your first lesson, so to speak. And so that's making sure that's covering your butt. That's instead of saying, I think I have a good idea and then creating something and then trying to sell it, it's you just making sales right away with people who are really serious about this thing. So what you do is you'd gather like a focus group. And so you already have it seems you have some customers. So you have access to their immediate connections and their second connections to that Facebook group. So it's going to take you a little bit of work. It's not hard work. It's just a little bit of like busy work for like a couple days to round up a focus group of people from the people you've served. Clearly you've done that very well, and they'd probably be very happy to put you in touch with like 10 people, and if you can get like a group of like 10, 50, 70 people on like an interest list of who you'd reach out to let them know and this is where a minimum viable course comes in. You sell it to them without any bells and whistles, without any marketing strategies or anything like that. You literally have, if you have like 50 people who are your target audience, these are the people who represent the people who will buy your thing. And you say, and you email them personally, and you can do it in like an email marketing automation thing and stuff like that. But sending a personal email or a personal text or a personal Facebook message because you were connected by a mutual friend or contact, this is going to be way more effective. Where you reach out and say, hey, so-and-so put me in contact with you. I helped them do this. This is who I am. Just a quick little intro. I'm thinking about putting this together. Here's what it is that I want to put together. I've done this before with your friend or this person, and we've seen some really awesome results, but I'm thinking, how can I put this together in a way that can help more people in a more efficient manner? And so then you pitch them the idea. And so this is like your sales page. This is your online course sales page, your sales letter. It's literally a really humble, modest, honest email to one person that says, here's what it is that I'm thinking. And you can the first email doesn't have to be this pitch email. It's just putting my feelers out there. I want to see if this is something that I if I'm on the right track. Am I on the right track with this? Here's what I'm thinking about. Here's how it's worked before. I've yet to create the thing, but here's how it's going to work. It's going to solve this problem. And I've seen that this is the problem that people have experienced in this niche. And if we can get this happening, then wouldn't that be so great? So you pitch the end result, the story about that, the results that they could, that they could look forward to, how you've done it before. And again, avoid any sort of trying to sound like you're pitching or you're in a sales pitch or anything like that, because people can smell that from a mile away. You want to, as if you're sitting in front of somebody, and you might even actually do this in front of some people at a coffee shop or whatever. It doesn't have to be email. It's like if you're talking to somebody. If I was talking to you and I was like, Bao, I have an idea. I'm thinking about doing this. It's going to solve this. It's worked before. I know that you're in this niche. And is this something that would actually benefit you? And if you were like, yeah, I think, then, okay, you either didn't position that your product or your idea or your solution quite right, or it's just not a good idea. But you've already validated it. So you kind of already know it's a good idea. It's just now how you present it to the person. And if you can get them to go, yeah, no, that would be amazing. I'd really like that. That's where then you can say, okay, so here's what I'm doing. I'm putting together a focus group where I do group coaching. So this is before you say, okay, I'm starting off with my like online course and then deliver it completely automated. It's still going to involve you doing like manual work, but in a one-to-many fashion. So if you can get like, let's say 5 sales, I'm going to say 5 sales. It's a pretty good number for like validating a product. Mm-hmm. At like a price point, I don't know. It probably for this niche, like probably somewhere in like the $100 to $500 range, because of the low budget. For this niche, a high ticket offering is probably $500.
Yeah.
Whereas, so you're going to want to be in that range, keeping in mind that you are going to be providing a one-to-many kind of more personalized service versus just an automated course right now. But if you can get 5 people to pay you, say $100, or 10 people at $100, 5 people at $200, like you're in that sort of ballpark. Collect the payment up front. So you reach out to this like 20, 50 people manually from connections, referrals, one-to-one connections, people who you've helped utilizing their connections. Getting that list together, connecting with them, seeing like, hey, testing the waters. I'm putting my feelers out there. Is this what would this be helpful? Yes, sounds amazing. I'd actually really love that. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. I'm putting this together. It's going to be a focus group of 10 people max. We're going to do like for 1 month, a once a week group coaching call on, could be Skype. It could be, it could be any sort of video like conferencing. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. As long as you can do the group call. Or again, it could just even be YouTube like this, where you do an unlisted YouTube video where people are watching. But it's nice when they get to be a part of the video stream itself. So it could be Zoom, software and stuff. You know where to find that. Get them on the group call, and then you talk through. So let's say it's like 1 month, once a week for like a 1 hour group training call. And you teach like 4 lessons. And if you, in that hour, you could probably teach like, 4 modules and then 4, 2 or 3 lessons within those modules. Each week you're going to learn this. And so what you can do is say, hey, week 1, this is the topic. This is what we're going to learn. It's like what Facebook ads are, how it works, how I've gotten results before, and how we can get that for you. Here are the basic things you need to have in place. So let's get you set up with your business ad manager. Let's get you set up with this. Let's talk over some lingo so that you can be familiar with the interface, so that you're not worrying about, it's a really overwhelming software,
Oh my God,
I'm super technical, and I go in there and I'm like, man, this Facebook ad thing is scary.
It literally took me like 3 months to get used to it.
Yeah, but you can take that. Yeah. You can take that 3 months and go, don't worry about 98% of this. It doesn't matter. You only need to know these 8 things. Familiarize yourself with these. So, and then you could say, okay, for this week, here's your homework. By next week, all this needs to be done. And then week 2, here's your topic. You teach them another thing. You give them like an overview. Here's the homework for week 2. By week 3, they have ads running with like the copy that, the scripts and the formulas that you put together, the basic targeting, whatever it is. Here's your homework for week 3. Week 4, we do some review and we tweak your ad campaigns, and by the end of the week, you've had a solid one-to-many kind of like accelerator style group training session with an intimate focus group. Record all of those sessions, keep them, because those are going to be obviously material for the course. You can add them as like a bonus where you can see like your original accelerator series with like the original focus group. And from that, you can gauge. So you get feedback from these like 10, 20 people. I said 5, but maybe 10 is a good number as well. And then you get feedback from these people each week. How was that helpful? Was it good? What do you wish you knew more about? And then you get really focused feedback from these people, like one-to-one. This is like completely unscalable. None of this is automated. None of this is fancy. It's like it's completely unscalable.
Mm-hmm.
The good part is that you're creating a one-to-many, so you're not doing this with 10 individual people. You're doing it with 10 people. Your impact is already 10 times bigger. But with this feedback, with you focusing on this, getting this, iterating, okay, they liked this, they didn't like this was too advanced, they wish they knew more about this. So now, and that's version 1 of your course. Version 2 of your course is taking all that feedback, your experience from that, your students, the results they're getting, and you iterate on that and go, okay, how can I create like a 4-week training course that goes through what we talked about, give them the same sort of homework, and then create more professional videos. You don't have to get like a fancy camera or lighting or any of that. Slides on a Google Slide, Keynote, whatever, like slide software with like some text and headlines outlining what they need to do so they could download the PDF, give them the theory and the training, and then the homework. So mimic the same thing you did with the feedback that you gained from those people, like one-to-many, where you did it in a more intimate focus group fashion. And then that becomes the basis for your course. So the course isn't about how good it looks, how fancy it looks, like the website URL, the fancy name. Like your name could just be like how to grow your permanent makeup business with Facebook ads. Like that's your course name. And then eventually on version 3, you brand it with like a nice brand, and it's like got a fun name and it's got cool design to appeal to these, to a broader, more makeup based audience. But none of that matters right now. It's like, what's their problem? How can you find out and validate that that's the problem, agitate the problem? So the PAS formula, problem, agitate, solution. When you're reaching out, finding out, validating the problem, ensuring that's the problem, agitating the problem by going, okay, well, what's the worst case scenario for that? How, wouldn't it be great if we can get this involved? Having, kind of like you're stirring the pot a little bit so that you can go, okay, I have an idea. This is what I think I'm going to do. I have a focus group for 10 people. Do you want in? There's only 10 spots. It's, $250 a seat. And then you can even have a guarantee in place if you want, because you're still serving one-to-many. And if someone says, okay, cool. And your guarantee is if by the end of, the 4 weeks, by the end of the 4 weeks, you will have a campaign running. You will have a knowledge of how to get it going. By the end of the 4 weeks, you'll be able to manage your own basic campaigns and start seeing some decent results. You can give like an honest, tangible thing and say, if you don't have that, then I'll give you your money back. With the obvious clear intention is that you can't just like join your accelerator program or your intimate session and then go, I joined and watched your videos, and for some reason I just don't have Facebook ads, so I want my money back. You could say, well, no, it's non-refundable if you're not going to do the work. You actually have to dedicate the time to do it. And so this first group of people, the focus group, they're your most specific audience. They're like your big fans. They're the people who buy the thing without even having it in place yet. Like they're the ones who really trust you. So work closely with them. Then you can expand it from there, create another iteration of the course that is, slides, following the structure, giving them homework, filming it out. That's like all pretty easy. You've already created the content. It's in your head. You've done it in the accelerator 4-week sessions. Then you converted that into an actual packaged course where you go, okay, I have 4 modules with like 10 lessons each with actionable steps. And then like each week they have some homework that can now be delivered automated. So that's like your first step. I
Hmm.
kind of went off there, but I'm trying to keep it in the context of your original question of how do I get those those initial customers, initial flow, initial movement and momentum. And so that's like where you want to focus. And that alone is like a 4 to 6 week effort.
Okay. And in terms of managing the focus group, would you just recommend like a Facebook group, a Facebook chat, a Slack channel or something like that on my personal or like my business Slack channel, and I just create like a private channel for just that group? What have you found? I know that you've done a couple of these different methods. What have you found has been the most effective for managing the initial focus group, um, before, you end up opening it up to a larger group, in which case it makes more sense to just do a Facebook group.
Right, right. Okay. So a few options here. Obviously, you as a student of Freelancing Freedom, you know that we have Slack and Facebook. My
Hmm.
reasoning for do that was originally we had just had a Facebook group, but then there's a lot of people who are like, I don't do Facebook. I don't like Facebook. I don't want my profile, my information, or what's Facebook. Um, and so there's been a few of those. And then I was like, well, Slack is a really great. I use it internally for my own company, my own business, and team
Yeah.
communication. I was like, that's a great space. Let's use that. People seem to really love it. Feel free to be honest, anyone in the chat, if you hate it. The, those are good options. Facebook is good because most people are on Facebook, and some people aren't, or they're going to begrudgingly be like, I got to set up a weird anonymous profile now. But most people are there. You can bank on that, especially like in the makeup niche where they're sharing like their things on social. Like they're probably more social,
Yeah.
so they're going to have Facebook. So that's a good like it's easy to set up a group. There's like no friction for people to sign up. It's like that's good. It has a secondary benefit, as you would know, for retargeting. So you have like your 10, 20 people. You've done like iteration one of the accelerator for your course.
Hmm.
Okay, now you've done you've done focus group 2. Now you're taking 20 spots. Maybe people bought the $200 price like really fast and like they had no hesitations paying $200. So now your iteration, now what you do is for the next iteration, you raise that rate to like say 350. And then what you can do is you can gauge like, okay, did people still buy that up? Did less people buy? Less people will buy, but if you're making more than when you were selling it for lower, then you're still better off. And so then this is your way of testing pricing along with creating your content and getting initial customers. So let's say you have those 20 people in your Facebook group. Now when you create an ad, you can say, okay, here are the people who are engaged in the Facebook group. Let's retarget a lookalike audience who is like them, expand it to a more broad audience in USA or wherever that group of people would be, and then serve an ad to do that, to join up in like the course or even the group, like a more low friction. We have a group for permanent makeup, people in the permanent makeup industry who want to get started with ads. We have a group that can be open to invite only, but maybe they're not, students. So there's a
Hmm.
double benefit there with Facebook. Slack is good. I find sometimes Slack's a little bit hard to manage. You have to pay for it if you want to keep over 10,000 messages, which I don't really think that's even necessary. I'm beyond the 10,000 messages like backup now. So they're like, hey, do you want to pay to be a member, like a Slack Pro or whatever? I won't do that. One, because it's not necessary. Two, because it's built for teams, like a company of like 10 or 5 or 20, where you pay per person. We have like 400 people in Slack. So if I paid like $50 a month for every person to have a pro Slack, like I'd be spending tens of thousands of dollars for it. It's nonsense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense as well because your students only pay like that one-time fee
Yes.
for your course.
Yes.
For me, it's a little bit different because each month my clients pay anywhere from like $500 to $1,000 in management fees, for the PMU, like the permanent makeup clients right now. And
Mm-hmm.
so And this is one of the reasons why I love Slack. When they become a client, I
Hmm.
say, all right, now that you're a client, no more text messages, no more emails,
Yeah.
no more phone calls. All communications go through Slack.
Yeah.
So it streamlines all my communications so that I only have one place to check for any client related messages.
Yeah.
And I use the paid account because I have two additional team members, which I pay for. But with those two team members, I can have up to 15 clients with one channel accounts,
Right.
and those come complementary to the paid accounts.
Yeah.
So though that guest account, my clients get their own single account in which we manage their campaigns,
Yeah.
and we're able to stay completely transparent with our clients. Like my ads guy and I, we brainstorm inside their channels
Yeah.
so that they can see that happen. And if they have any questions, they ping. Group calls, strategy calls, all those calls can be conducted from within Slack as well.
Yes.
So once that happens, there's no need for Zoom, there's no need
Yeah.
for Facebook calls or anything like that. Slack is just, for me, it's the way to go.
Yeah.
Especially once you have a client onboarded. And it only makes sense for me because my clients pay me a monthly retainer,
Yeah.
of which a portion of that goes into their their Slack membership. But really, they don't even need the membership because they don't pay anything for Slack. I
Yeah.
don't pay for them to be on Slack. I pay for my team to be on Slack. They
Mm.
get the benefit of it.
Yeah, yeah, totally. No, that's yeah. And so yeah, like and if you can make that work for you as well in terms of delivering your content and doing your training in like the more intimate groups, like you could do that, especially because you can do calls, and you can do like locked channels where you can go, this is for like the people who are in the accelerator program, and we're going to work through that. These are locked channels that people can't access. You can really make Slack work for you in that manner. Now, if I in this case, if I were to charge, and I know people do this as well, where they charge like a monthly fee or a yearly fee to be a part of the community. Right now, everything at Freelancing Freedom is like one payment. You join up or you do it in a payment plan. That's it. I know that it's an option at some point in the future, and some people do this. I don't know if it's my cup of tea, but where you could say, okay, if you want to be, you get the course, but if you want the community, it's like an annual fee of X, because sometimes it gets to a point where, you do have to pay for a certain amount of people to be able to access the community. It costs you time, energy, money. So, and you're adding constant value. It's like if you paid $500 for a course and you're getting like 3 years of value, that's a steal. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, that's what I'm trying to look to do. I'm trying to create this like massive surplus of value where when I ask for, okay, I have a new thing, it's like a no brainer to join up. But in this case, Slack might be a really good space for you to have those focus groups, and you can categorize it that way, especially because you have like you already use Slack, you're good at Slack, you know how to make it work for you. I think that could be a good place. Yeah. So okay. So that was that one. Shoot any more questions?
Okay, so the guarantee, I'm interested in the guarantee, obviously because it's more of an info product,
Yeah.
and online educational product. There's not a huge loss when you have to do a sort of like a refund off of it because a lot of the overhead is just your own cost,
Yeah.
your own time and stuff. So what kind of level of guarantee would you suggest, like in terms of for a case like this? Like,
Yeah.
would we be guaranteeing leads, or would it be more attractive? I feel like it'd be more attractive to say, hey, within the 4 week period, if you don't make your investment back in terms of how much you paid for this course,
Yeah.
it's your money back. And as long as you can show me that you've done the work, it'll be no questions asked, right? Because
Yeah.
if I'm going to be selling my course at a price point of, say, like $500 for the course, each one of their procedures is anywhere from like 200, 250 to 400, 500. Some people even sell it for $600 for a procedure.
Right.
So if they can use my strategies and get a sale off of that, I think they would be much more like it would be more attractive to them
Yeah.
if I were to say, use these strategies that we've battle tested. If you don't make your investment back within the first month, at the end of the first month, it's your money back, and you don't got to do any sort of justifications or anything like that, as long as you show me that you did the work.
Yeah.
But there's also the caveat of this kind of guarantee would also need to be done before the after the course is finished, right? Because I feel like all the modules would need to be in place so that they can do the work in order for it to happen. Because in terms of being able to convert, it's one thing to generate leads. It's also another thing to be able to convert those leads into customers
Yeah.
and clients. And I think for the most part, that's where most of the artists struggle. And that's where I find myself more than likely going to be creating a module on, follow up strategies, follow up plan. This is your call sheet. You should be doing this, 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 and this every
Yeah.
single day for each lead. How much time, like, did it take you to get to in contact with those leads?
Mm-hmm.
Phone scripts, messaging scripts, those kind of things. I can foresee myself already building a module on that because that's such a crux for a lot of artists. Because
Yeah.
here's the thing: a lot of artists, they become business owners, but they're not really business owners,
Yeah.
right? They're artists
Yeah.
first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
That's where their passion is. They wanted to create a business out of it because they wanted to leverage their artwork for a living.
Yeah.
But the problem is there's that aspect of business owners where they need to make the follow-up calls. They got to get the sales in. They got to do this, that. They're just not that good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think a value of this course would be that added benefit. But that's probably not going to be something until like one of the later modules. And
Yeah.
so should I create a potentially, increasing guarantee and, start off the guarantee a little bit lower and maybe scope that to, what they'll learn um, with the initial focus group. And then we'll go into, like a money back guarantee based off of the results
Yeah.
when we're in like version 2.0, version 3.0.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Cool question about guarantees. You're on the right track with thinking, okay, you iterate your guarantee based on what you're offering, your confidence in the product and the results you see from the product. And then you start to see patterns in behaviors, you start to see patterns in results, you start to see through your feedback and through all of that, you start to see, okay, this is what I can offer, this is what I can confidently offer, this is like off limits, this is smart, this is not. And so at first, like you said, you're not going to have the content, so you can't say use our strategies and within 30 days you're going to see a result. You go like, well, we don't have like, it's not in place yet. It's not all in place. It's kind of like a live group training. And so your initial offer there, I've known people who've done like for those focus groups, like no refund policies. So it only gets the best customers. So you're like, I only need 5 or 10 people to validate this. No refund. Like there's, it's a one-time purchase. And think of it like a conference. When somebody is doing a conference, you buy your $500 ticket and there's like no refunds. You're going to get a ton of value, some of it intangible, some of it very, very tangible. You're going to meet connections, but the person who's putting on the conference and the team, they've already put in all this work. And why should you expect a refund based on your satisfaction or dissatisfaction? It is what it is. So only serious people need to inquire. And so, the people who are at the conference, they're for sure, they're in it. And so I know people who have done like group training, like their first iteration of the course in a one-to-many fashion, being like, registration is $200, no refunds. It is what it is. So, here's what we expect of you. Show up every week. You have to do the work. You have to do these things, and you're going to you're going to see results because we're doing hands-on coaching, and it's going to be based on what you need. So if someone has a question and a couple other people are like, yeah, I'd actually really like to know that. Okay, then you can pivot and you can be light on your toes and go, okay, well, let's talk about that. Maybe next week, let's change it up. We're going to talk about that instead. So they're getting like a customized offering. And so it's not that you didn't position it right. Your material isn't even really created. You're basing it based off of your best customers and what they need, so that your version 2 will be like right on point. So the guarantee, you could say like no refunds, $200 is not a lot to ask, and you're going to get way more than $200 of value. by the end of it, you're going to have knowledge of ads, doing this, running your own campaigns, and more than likely you're going to get some results. So $200 is like a really easy ask. Even $500 is a really easy ask for that. Alea just said, most beta testers are not even paying full price anyway, correct? This would justify the no refunds as well as knowing this is in production. So it's like you're starting at a lower price point, and these people get the privilege of being a part of that initial, like they're the ones who shape the content and the direction.
Hmm.
That's value enough. They shouldn't have like an out, because you don't want people who are like on the fence. You only want serious people.
Yeah.
And so that might be a good, you could test that and go like, and just be like, it's a one-time fee. The registration is non-refundable. Here's what you get. Here's why it's valuable. And people who go, oh, I'd really like a 30-day refund policy. You're not going to have that person on board, because that person might not show up every week, and then will ultimately on day 29 go, you know what? I didn't see the value and I kind of want my money back. You get the person who's in it to win it.
Yeah.
And moving forward, I mean, you could just say you'll be happy with the course, 30-day refund policy. If you're not satisfied and if you don't see the value, like if you've done the work and you've showed up every week, you've done all the homework that we gave you every week, and you're just like, no, not for me, it's not going to work out, or I'm not confident, then on a case-by-case basis, you can refund. You could say something like that, super honest and transparent. Moving forward, now you start getting to see what results are starting to happen, and knowing who your students are, then you could say, okay, 30-day refund policy could be more of a general thing so that people are confident with making the decision.
Hmm.
You're allowing the fence sitters, to join in. And then beyond that, like say you're like, oh yeah, people like 80% of the time are making their money back with their first campaign or with their second campaign or whatever. Then you could say you're going to make 100% of what you paid for this course back within like 30 days or 60 days, whatever your number is, guaranteed, or, you get your money back. And that's like what I do with like what I've done. I've done and tested lots of different guarantees, from 30 days, no questions asked, to get a client in 6 months guaranteed if you do the work, or your money back, to lifetime. That's another option. And that happens once you start getting kind of past the tipping point, when course is proven, course works, people will buy it, your offer's on point, it's consistent, you're at a good price range, and it's a numbers game where you go, okay, 5 to 15% of people will refund. It just is what it is. Like, you can go off of just formulas, and then get into like, you're going to be happy with the course. There's no, like, it's going to work out, it's going to be valuable, and there's no expiration date on it. If on month 6 you're not, you want your money back for these reasons, then on a case-by-case basis, we can give your money back. I've done that before with the previous iteration of launch, which was masterclass, and said lifetime guarantee. So if you're technically joined up, and then it still applies, and I kind of loosely apply it to this. So it's more of a case-by-case basis. Rarely does it ever happen. So I'm going to tell you why there's 2 benefits to this. One is because when you don't have an expiration date on your refund, then people generally don't ask for it. When I gave a 30-day refund on day 29, like at 10 p.m. before like this like I get all these people, like 10% of the signups saying, I want my money back, it changed my mind, or I went to the course material and it's not as awesome as I thought it would be, or I was hoping I'd see more results by now, or I was just wanting to see. Probably 2 or 3 of them are pirates and stole the crap and put it up somewhere, and that's a pain in the butt too, but topic for a different time. That happens. So when you have an expiration for a refund, you're always in this. It's kind of like you're getting married this weekend, by the way. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
When you have an out, people always have that in the back of their mind. But like when you're like, no, I'm in this for life, sort of thing. You don't have this like back door that you can pull that card. So when you're giving a guarantee, like a 30-day, like you can change your mind about me policy, people have that in the back of their mind, and it's like the psychological game that you unintentionally created by going, buy my course, 30 days you can get your money back. So for 30 days, they're going, is this worth it? Maybe it is. No, it's not. That's a lot of money. I'd like that money back. Maybe I don't. This was good. And then by day 29, they're panicking and they want their money back. Even though, like, if you just said, don't worry about it. If on day 45, you're like, man, I'm tight on cash and I'm not going to be doing this anymore, it'd be really nice to get a refund on that. I'm not even going like, sure, people will message me and go, I can't pay rent this month. And, but I know that this is going to be valuable for me, but I just can't do it right now. Can you help me out? Of course. I'm not going to just be like, hey, sorry, 30 days, no, like you're done.
Yeah.
But when you don't give them an expiration date, people tend to not. I've seen my refund rates drop when I say, yeah, just, if you're not happy, reach out. We'll work with you. And if we can't get your results, we'll give you your money back at any point. After like a year, people are like, yeah, I'm not going to ask my money back. It's good. I'm good. I've already seen the results, or I haven't seen the results, but I've got a lot of value and I would feel bad asking for a refund. It's
Like
just
a
kind
year
of,
later, yeah.
yeah. So there's a number of ways to do it. And like you said, at first, you would want to change that refund as your product kind of evolves. And at first it could be 0 refunds to just like a generic one. And then you can get specific, to the audience and what they can expect from the course.
Totally. Totally. All right. How much time do we have left? I know that we've been at it for like at least an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, an hour 10.
I got you. Yeah. I got you on at about 11:10 my time. So I think we could do like one more question and then we'll say that that's a solid
All
session.
right. Um, I'm trying to come up with like how would a good division for the group coaching calls would be like in terms of content. Would I look to try to figure out, or at least preliminarily think about the entire course content of what I would want to deliver,
Yeah.
and then break that up and do those as weekly coaching calls for 4 weeks?
The best way of knowing exactly what people want is a mix of asking them exactly what they want. And there's a way to do that properly, and using your own experience to give them what they actually need. So kind of like the what's his name? Ford. Forget his first name. The guy who invented the motor car.
Henry Ford?
Yeah, Henry Ford.
Yeah.
He said, if I were to just ask people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. So like we wouldn't have motor cars. We wouldn't have a Tesla. We wouldn't have any of that.
Yeah.
We'd have faster horses and we'd be much, we wouldn't be as far down the line as we are in terms of automobile technology.
Thank you, Mr. Ford.
Exactly. And so, and Steve Jobs was like, he was notorious for not doing market research because he was like, people don't know what they want. You just got to tell them what they want. And we could see how while he was alive, how that was really great. Now that he's gone, you can see that iPhone gave into the make jumbo, terrible phones, just give people what it is that they say they want, copy Samsung, copy whatever. And so now like Apple's not really that exciting anymore. It's not that exclusive anymore. It's just like it's a product of what the culture says they want. Steve Jobs was notorious for saying, I don't care what they say, what they want. I will tell them what they want because they don't know it. And that did wonders for Apple. And now like the people who are running Apple now, in my opinion, are riding on his coattails and kind of like tearing at them simultaneously. So that's I love Apple, but my like honeymoon stage with it is over because it's like now it's just another tool that copies everyone else.
Yeah.
So to kind of get it back on track, what was the question? I like totally lost it.
Oh, how should I be dividing my course for the group coaching calls? Yeah,
that's right. And so then I was asking people, right? So you want to with that group of people, maybe here's a thought. My first suggestion about reaching out to this group of people, say, hey, my name's Bao. I got in touch with you from this person. This is a little bit of background on me, so I'm not just a stranger out of nowhere. I'm thinking about putting something together to help people, in this industry solve this problem. Can you tell me what it is that your main pain point is in that? Like, what's the biggest thing that you struggle with, in terms of your business, and, give them a framework. Don't say what's the biggest, most painful thing. They can go, well, you know what? Doing like this makeup technique is really tricky and it takes 10 years of time. You're like, well, I can't help you with that. What I meant was, what I meant was, what's your biggest pain point in relation to X? So in terms of getting your customers, online, or in terms of getting customers, marketing your business, whatever, you got to provide the framework for asking. but you can say, what's your biggest problem in your business in regards to X? And X is your zone of genius. And then their response, because you're not saying, hey, I'm pitching something to you, I'm asking something of you. It's more so, I'm curious and I'm trying to test the waters here. And then they'll respond most likely and they will respond with an answer to your question. You take 10, 20, 30 of those questions, put them together. It's all qualitative data, so you actually have to read it and do some pattern recognition and go, okay, that seems to be a real hot spot. This was only one person. It sounds really particular. So then you can start to form. And then what you could do is follow up with all those people manually again. All right, so here's what I'm thinking. I put all this data together. Here's the problem that people in your industry struggle with. If you could do this in this amount of time and see this sort of result, you'd be really happy about that. Am I on track with that? Does that sound about right? And then they would respond ideally with a wholehearted, like a hearty, absolutely, where it like take my money sort of thing. That you want that sort of like, yeah, that. Not like a lukewarm, yeah, it sounds pretty cool. Because then what happens when you ask that person, you're like, okay, I got a workshop coming up. It's $250 registration fee, non-refundable. They're gonna go, yeah, I'm not really that interested. Well, you're interested in growing your business, right? It's because you need to know the pain point, the sore spot, so that when you like touch it, it's like make it go away. And so that's where you survey them one-to-one in the emails, text message, Facebook message, in person, whatever it is, with that focus initial group of people you want to in your target audience. And so then you ask them, what's the biggest struggle within this framework? Get that data, present it back to them. And then from there, when they respond with essentially in more or less words, that would be amazing. Is there a thing that like that exists? You go, well, kind of. Yes. I'm putting that exact together. I want, based on what you've told me and the other people in this group have told me, this is what they need, and I'm going to put that together. So starting in 2 weeks on Monday, we're going to be doing 4-week like boot camp on how to do this. And we're going to go through here's the structure based on what you've told me, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, so that by the end of it, you're going to see these results. Does that sound good? If so, like, here's your link to save your spot. There's only going to be 10 spots. And so you basically ask for the sale from surveying, confirming, validating, and then going, all right, are you in? Because you can only validate so much by saying, do you want this? The best validation is, okay, sounds like this is what you want. Here's the checkout. Here's my like hand over the cash essentially. And so in terms of creating the content, that was and I went off on a tangent there, but I wanted to tie it back in. Your question there was, how do you put together and know what that content is? Is that what, am I right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That comes from your putting your feelers out there and surveying the people who have the problem. You might think that you know the problem, but you need to find out what the problem is from their words in the context of what you can offer, and where it ties in, like the Steve Jobs, Henry Ford method, where I don't care what the market says they want. I'm going to decide what it is that they want and give it to them. Where you balance that is, so you need to obviously know what they want or what hurts, rather. If you ask them what they want, they might not know what that is and they might make up a bad answer. You want to know what hurts, what's bad, what is painful, what do you need eradicated, what's the ultimate version of what you're doing, where do you want to get, and what's stopping you from getting there. That's how you ask what do you want. You don't ask what do you want, you ask those questions instead. So then you can take that and go, here are the patterns. Here's what they need. They don't realize, they didn't say it in so many words, but reading between the lines, this is what they're looking for. So I'm going to deliver what it is, like a solution to that exact problem, these exact problems, but I'm going to put this in there as well because they don't realize this part. So that's how you structure your content. I've done that with my audience where, I'll say like, what's your number one problem? And they're like, getting clients. I'm like, well, of course. Yeah. If you don't have clients, you don't have a business. That's not the problem. That's not what I'm asking. It's you start to go into very specifics of what hurts and then what's your ideal, what's the outcome. It's not so much I want clients. It's I have a big mortgage and I'm in the US and have really high insurance rates and I don't get to see my kids. I'd like, it's more specifics like that. This is what hurts. And if I can eradicate that problem, then we're on to something. What they don't know, because they're not going to say, I'm like, hey, Bao, what's you struggling with and what do you want? You're not going to say, I want some really personalized automation techniques. I want to know a lot about ConvertKit, how to connect it with this, and paid advertising strategies, and also all the marketing channels that provide me 50% return or more. Like, you're not going to say that. You're going to say, I don't know how to get clients, and I'd like to be able to like stay home with my wife, but like have a bit more flexible lifestyle, and not have to do like the Silicon Valley hustle, like bro sort of culture. That's like the pain point, and then I can tell you, okay, did you know that automation can help you with that? Did you know that this can help you with that? These are things that not you specifically, but the person, they had no idea about that they wanted, but that's exactly what they want. So that's like the Henry Ford method there, where
Got it. Got it.
you give them what they need, not what they say that they want. But the way you can determine that is by asking what hurts and where do you want to be and why aren't you already there? You know, that's how you develop really good content. That's how you develop a really good structure for your course, your product, your group sessions. That's how you know what hurts. That's how you develop a good solution for that problem that will sell every time, for the most part, obviously, not like 100%, but you know what I mean? That's how you zero in on your on your industry, on your niche, and deliver something that is on point. You're not guessing. You know exactly what they want. You know exactly what hurts. You know exactly how to solve it, and you're giving them what's between the lines that they didn't know that they wanted, but it gets them to solving their problem and getting them to where they actually want to be. Where are they now? Where do they want to be? Your job is to get them there. They don't know how to get there. If they did, then they would do it already. They're
Yeah.
not there, so they don't know what they want. They just know the end result of what that looks like.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Totally. Yeah. I hope that was like kind of what you were looking for in this
Oh,
session.
totally.
And sweet, awesome. And of course, we can we can do, as we've talked before, we can do more of these, and whether or not we do them live or whatever, that's up to you. But I appreciate you being on board with doing this one live, because we had like 45 people like all at one given time, like soaking this stuff in that I've never really talked about before. That's not, within the constraints of the courses and stuff. So this is
Yeah.
this is like really valuable for the group of people watching as well, I think.
Yeah. Also super fun.
Totally, yeah.
Getting the clients and getting the like the legwork of getting the clients, that's kind of like the more tedious and more I feel like very, very emotionally draining part. I think what really drives my gears is these thoughts about scaling, adding additional sources of revenue, and really building out new content, new stuff. I think that's really exciting.
Oh yeah, totally. That's awesome. Wow. Okay. Wrapping it up here. Lots of really cool comments. People thanking us for it. We're going to watch the replay. Andy says that was splendid. Really pumped about watching. Says best of luck to Bao. Kate, as always, incredible, valuable
Thank you.
content. This is awesome. Suzanne says thank you. This is great. Okay. Well, I think that's a good note to end it on.
Yep.
Regarding this session, if you have any questions or something outside of it, feel free to just shoot me a message.
For sure.
And then we can schedule another one for, an appropriate time, in the near future.
Mhm.
And yeah, I appreciate it. Everyone give Bao a digital round of applause, and also wish him well and all of your love and support. He's getting married this weekend, so wanted to congratulate you on that. That's so cool.
Thank you. Thank you,
Super
everybody.
neat. So like, enjoy that, take it all in, and yeah, thanks for doing
Well,
this.
thank you. Back at you.
Totally.
Appreciate the all the value and the advice. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you bet, man. This is awesome. All right, well,
All
I'll catch you later.
right. Have a good
All
rest of
right,
your day.
you too. See ya.
Bye.